Hello, my friends, and welcome to a kind of unusual and special video. This is a thank you video that I wanted to make as a way to say thank you to you guys for 1,000 subscribers. I'm sorry it's taken me a little bit longer to make the videos. I've tried to gather together all the video footage and things to put this together and really kind of get my thoughts together. But anyway, this video is for you. If you're watching this, I made this for you. This is my way of saying thank you. The long dark that has brought us together, sometimes around a campfire, at times like at the top of a mountain in awe at an aurora or the stars, or even sometimes taking shelter from a blizzard. And we've just found like a little cave, a little nook to protect ourselves. I've always been in great company with you guys, and this game just kind of brings out the best qualities of human nature, I think. And, I'm just one guy, pretty unskilled at the game, but willing to play. And so anyway, thank you for choosing to watch me as I try to survive in this game. I also really want to say a quick thank you to those people who've donated and helped me to get some equipment up and running. John Wong, Patrick McArdle, Stephen Boyle, Evelyn Dykeman. You guys, thank you so much. Your contributions really have meant a lot to me. Also, super thanks to these YouTubers who got me started in the long dark to begin with. Accurize, Zach Nafine, Archimedes, and Kirk Stevens. And probably many others that I'm not thinking of at this moment, but so many great YouTubers who have kind of taken us all by the hand and kind of shown us how to play the game and survive. Okay, so if you want to, you can skip the rest of the video, or you can watch, or you can skip ahead and watch, whatever you want. It's up to you. And by the way, as we're going through this video, the footage you're seeing in the background, this is me and my dog together hanging out in the mountains. This is on some forest land that I purchased to occasionally experience some of the long dark in real life. Just love being up in the mountains and experiencing nature. So that's kind of some of the footage you're seeing. I'll probably throw in some game camera footage, stuff like that. I thought about narrating it and telling you what's going on, but it might be kind of boring, and I don't know. It would just take forever. So I'm just going to let it play as I answer some of the questions you guys have asked me about the long dark. Okay, so the first question is, how did I learn about the long dark? I first stumbled across the long dark playthrough by a YouTuber named Accurize. I think he was playing Stalker or something. He appeared to be pretty new at the game, but it was fascinating to me watching him try to navigate and survive in this frozen apocalypse. It's just incredibly interesting. The game really had this artistic look to it, and it kind of felt timeless. It was really just amazing. The long dark wasn't like over the top, end of the world warfare kind of stuff. It was quiet. It was serene. It was frightening at times. It took me away from the crowded city and into a world much more simple, a world where a campfire mattered and warm food, a place to sleep for the night, like the basics of human nature, of human survival. And probably like you, it wasn't long before I discovered that there were some other content creators out there, like Zach and Archimedes, who started to teach me their skills and techniques for a game I didn't even own. And I was fascinated. The tutorials that people like Zach and Archimedes were making were so helpful and really kind of gave me the courage to try the game eventually on my own. I think I probably was a spectator watching the game and watching other people play for at least a year before I ever bought the game myself and gave it a try. But when I finally bought the game, I remember how amazing it felt when I landed my very first stone on a rabbit. I got a rabbit and I ran up to it, scooped it up, holding it in my hands before harvesting its precious life. And I felt like I'd actually done something. It felt kind of real, like I was actually able to hunt and be in this world. It was really cool. And the rest is history. I was hooked. I kept playing. So I started recording and posting, and a few people noticed and watched. Okay, and by the way, I have kind of a funny a story to share with you. So as a new player and YouTube creator, because I started recording almost immediately when I began playing, so I would sometimes get comments from, it's people in the YouTube community, the Long Dark, and I remember there was this one guy who kept giving me pointers, and sometimes he was pretty blunt about calling me out for how bad I was and giving me instructions on how to improve, and he didn't really sugarcoat it. See, I'm not super good with names. I didn't remember this particular person, but I knew they kept commenting, and I didn't recognize him. I didn't recognize who it was. All I could see was somebody whose name began with an A, and by the way, their YouTube logo, their little icon next to their name was just the generic YouTube letter capital A, because their name started with an A. And obviously they just never changed it. So anyway, at one point I thought, who is this guy who keeps giving me these tips? And I clicked on his name, and it was Archimedes. I was so surprised and amazed. I was actually pretty honored that he would watch my silly, beginner playthrough, and that he bothered to take the time to give me some tips. But so I replied to him once. I'm like, I didn't know who you're like my idol in some way. Like, I used to watch your videos. You got me started. I told him, you have got to create some kind of logo, because you just appear like just a generic user. You've got to change your capital letter A to something else. So he eventually did it. He did. I must have talked him into it, or maybe he was planning on it all along. But anyway, he eventually picked an owl for his logo that we all know and love. I asked him, when he created it, I asked him what it meant, and he was kind of strangely quiet about it. So I didn't really press him about it. But it was a while later, I was watching the Walt Disney show Sword in the Stone, when I realized Archimedes was the name of Merlin's owl. And so I put owl and Archimedes together, and I immediately messaged him like, hey, Archimedes, I think I know what your YouTube logo is of this owl. It's Archimedes, Merlin's owl. And he got, I think he got surprised, like, yeah, you're the first person to figure it out. Good job. Okay, here's a question from Skyroxia. She asked if I've ever taken the time to play the story mode on the Long Dark. And for a long time, I didn't even know there was a story mode. Or if I did, I kind of just blocked it out. And I have never actually seen the story. I've never played the story. I don't know the story. And I've kind of intentionally tried not to know much about it. I picked up a few things here and there, like obviously Astrid. I don't know much more than her name, really. Now that may change, especially if you guys are interested in me playing the story mode. But for me, the Long Dark has always just been like its own story. Like the free play open world mode, it creates itself. The story unfolds as you play it, and I love that. And I've actually kind of tried to avoid the official story, because I didn't want it to kind of interfere with what I was experiencing and the stories that were unfolding for me. I did load up and try the story mode once, and I got as far as when the airplane crashes. So that literally is as far as I've ever played the story mode. I did like the little introductory exploration around the hangar where the airplane is, then you get on the airplane, and then like a cutscene and the airplane crashes. And I went up the hill and found the rabbits, and that's where I stopped. So let me know in the comments if you want something like this, but in all honesty, I'm sure there are so many other people who have played the story mode, and there's videos, and they are probably way more skillful and made it fun and interesting, and so I've just never got around to it. But if you guys want it, I'm game for it. Okay, here's another story for you. When I first began playing The Long Dark, I immediately started recording. Like, pretty much almost day one of me playing, I started recording because the hardware I was using kind of had this built-in game recording mode. So I'm like, sure, why not? I'll record as I play. And even though I was brand new, I had learned enough from watching videos like Zach's and Archimedes that I actually could survive pretty well, but I clearly hadn't put in the time yet to learn the maps or many of the nuances of the game. So some things I could do really well because I'd seen these walkthroughs and stuff. And so, like I mentioned, Archimedes would watch some of my videos and comment, and he actually thought that I was trolling the Long Dark community. he thought I was a troll, like I was intentionally like trying to pretend that I was bad at the game, but really I was really good and just like making fun of the game or something. I don't know. He called me. He's like, are you trolling? Like, what's going on here? Because I can see you know some mechanics, but clearly you're not very good, kind of thing, right? So I had to assure him that no, I really do suck at the game, but I have picked up some of these advanced tricks, you know, from watching guys like him and Zach and watching these videos and stuff. So it's kind of funny that I'd pick up enough from watching these other YouTubers to really get into trouble, like, you know, because I thought I was good, but I really wasn't. Kind of reminds me of what my dad used to say about four-wheel drive vehicles. So he said, you know, you can get stuck pretty bad with any vehicle, but if you want to get really, really stuck, you get a four-wheel drive vehicle that will take you really, really far back to where nobody can really get to you, and then you can get stuck. And that's kind of his opinion of four-wheel drive vehicles. But that's kind of me. So I learned enough from watching these guys that I could really get into some big trouble instead of being timid and, you know, playing it safe and learning at a normal pace. And here's another quick side note as I'm thinking about four-wheel drive vehicles. So there's a really famous YouTuber. He's got a channel called Matt's Off-Road Recovery, which is based here in Utah where I live. And his videos take place in some of my favorite parts of the state, just right by Zion National Park and Bryce Canyon. We have 5 national parks here, and they are all pretty amazing. You should come check them out if you can, if you're ever in the area. Arches National Park, Bryce Canyon, probably my favorite, I think. I took my kids one, like a year, maybe 2 years ago now. We took a trip to the Grand Canyon, and, you know, it was pretty spectacular if you've never seen it. Just a big, amazing, massive canyon. But you just stay at the top and look down in it. And it's cool. You know, you walk around and stuff. But on the way back from the Grand Canyon, we drove past and stopped at Bryce Canyon National Park. And my kids just went nuts as we got out of the car and would hike down through the canyon. You could actually interact with these narrow canyons and with these stone formations. And it was just so, they all agreed it was just so much better than the Grand Canyon. So there you have it. In my opinion, Bryce Canyon is better than one of the natural wonders of the world, which is the Grand Canyon. Come check it out if you can. And if you like the pod race scene from The Phantom Menace, Star Wars, that's pretty much like Arches National Park with the natural arches and things. And it's pretty cool how you can like climb through those areas. Okay, so next question, why did I stop playing The Long Dark? Well, I stopped playing The Long Dark on June 25th, 2024, and I just stopped without notice. I hadn't planned it. I didn't say anything to my viewers for a while. I didn't know what to say. I didn't even know really why I'd stopped. A little while later, I realized, you know, I really need to say something. So I posted, hey guys, I hope you're having a great summer. I didn't want to ghost everybody, so I'm just coming to let you know I don't know when I'll be playing again. Hopefully soon. Thank you for being a part of the adventure. And then I didn't post again. I didn't play or post anything for like over a year. So what happened? It's taken me a while to figure it out myself. To start with, right at that time, my dad died. He lived in Tucson, Arizona, which is kind of far from where I am. So there's that whole situation. And we were really close. So it was painful to lose him. But that wasn't it. I mean, that might be a part of why I stopped, but that may have just kind of got things rolling. Another reason is that my hardware and software setup is just old and difficult, and it was really kind of a chore. Every episode I made was really time consuming and difficult to get a good episode. So I think another big factor is that I have some, I don't know, kind of dyslexia and other pretty strong focus disabilities. And that's not new. I've had that my whole life, really. I was pretty much undiagnosed and untreated as a kid in school. This kind of sucks because I was too smart for the remedial classes, which I think would have been so, even if I'd just gone into those remedial classes, that would have been so much better for me probably. And I was in the normal classes, but I couldn't focus, and I was disruptive and distracting, and the teachers didn't know what to do with me. So they really just kind of tried to get rid of me. They'd put me in like a corner closet or like a spare classroom, or, they just kind of take turns with me. I was kind of mouthy too. I got in a lot of fights at recess. What I found, those video games were kind of the only thing that I could really focus on. I wonder if it was kind of like a self-medication or something, possibly even like a little bit of like mild autism or something. I don't know. What I do know is that I was really drawn to video games, and I loved video games. Looking back, I kind of think of myself as, at that time, as a young kid, kind of a cross between that kid from the Never-Ending Story that skips class and goes into the attic, just kind of in isolation. That was me a lot. I was kind of a mix between that kid and the mouthy kid from Goonies that would just shoot his mouth off. So it's kind of like a cross between those two. So yeah, I just loved video games as a kid. I remember this one time I was moved out of my normal classroom that I was assigned to. I was placed in the corner of the remedial classroom where I'd been assigned for the day to kind of give my teacher a break, or possibly punish me for mouthing off or something. I don't know. But they put me at a desk in the corner, and they placed a rolling chalkboard between me and the rest of the class. And I wasn't really allowed to interact with them. I was just supposed to be quiet and focus on my schoolwork. Because I wasn't part of the remedial class, I hadn't tested into it, and they didn't have funding for me, so I couldn't use their assets and things. But they had these computers set up, multiple computers for these kids to use, and they would have games on there as rewards. And I still remember this game they had, Burger Time. I can still hear the music. So I would just sit there quietly in the corner and hear them playing Burger Time. But at one time they would like go to recess or something, and when the teacher would go out, I would sneak around and sit down and play Burger Time for a little bit. And then when they'd come back, I'd like run around and go sit at the desk again. It was right about that time, that winter, I think, or somewhere close to there, that the Nintendo Entertainment System, the original Nintendo, came out, and all the rich kids had it. And I saved up my money. I went around the neighborhood in this heavy winter snow and would shovel people's walks. I'd go into like the trailer homes and go door to door and ask them if they wanted their shovels, their sidewalks shoveled and their driveways shoveled, and I'd save up money. And that's how I saved up to buy a the original Nintendo, and maybe a couple video games. At some point, I also found, I think at a garage sale, I also came across the TI 994A. It's kind of just a gaming system. It's technically a computer, but pretty much everybody just considered it like a gaming system, especially with like that speech module attached to it. So I played some of those games as well. I was really big on like the old text adventure games like Zork and Adventure and Planetfall. And gosh, those kind of text-based adventures where you just have a little text prompt and you type, pick up rope, go north, dig hole, stuff like that. Anyway, so I totally got off topic there, but I eventually grew out of whatever was holding me back in school, and I did pretty well in school. I just wanted to share that bit because I still have troubles with the fine details in video games, like technical stuff going on, like for example the Long Dark, like all the statistics and numbers and what's better this or that, or time constraints, or even just visually, like sometimes I just don't see things. If I spend the time and I really focus, I can figure it out, but it does take effort and time, and that's no fun for me. My game style is kind of more off the hip, kind of shooting gameplay style that I enjoy. And I know at times, I regret this too. I tend to make people a little frustrated with my gameplay style because I'm a bit slow at some aspects of the game and prefer to kind of gloss over some things that are more difficult for me and just kind of improvise something crazy or just make it work with my current understanding. So that's my gameplay style. I have tremendous respect for the people who can perfect the gameplay mechanics, and they kind of memorize these things and they understand it like clockwork, and they're like walking on water almost, with near perfect application of the knowledge and game mechanic manipulation. And that's pretty amazing that they can do that, especially to me. Like, the level of energy and focus that would take for me is just like, I can't do something like no Goa game level or that kind of stuff. I'll just die. I've got to have some of the flexibility. Okay, so getting back to why I left the Long Dark. So I realize now, I allowed myself to get kind of frustrated that I wasn't getting it. I was also frustrating that I was just barely starting to get the hang and flow of things when new items and new patches and releases and maps and game mechanics were being introduced. And I was always being asked by my viewers when I was going to go to a new place and try a new item or a new mechanic or something. And I was just barely getting comfortable with the way things currently were without all these additions. And then as a content creator, I would see these other professional content creators rush into these new territories, and like overnight they'd make these videos on and how-to guides on how to use these new mechanics and items in their games. And of course I would compare myself to them, and I felt a little bit overwhelmed by all of it. And I just stopped. I just stopped and walked away from the Long Dark. And when I stopped, I didn't watch any of the content. I didn't play anymore. I didn't load it up. I didn't watch any of the other content creators. I missed interacting with the community, but I kind of felt like I had betrayed everybody. And I kind of did. So you can imagine when I finally did come back, how touched I was when I decided to play. And I didn't know how people would react. But nobody said any unkind word to me. It was really touching and kind of amazing. It was all welcome back and we're glad you're here. It really made me feel so good, and just really love this community. So why did I decide to come back? I decided I was going to play the game in my style, and I was going to be okay with that. I was going to go at my own pace. Learning new mechanics of the game was going to be fluid and natural, as things arise naturally, as I would come across them, and when I was ready for them and when I wanted to try them. I wasn't going to try to force myself to rush into a new area or try some new game mechanic unless I wanted to. And so now, of course, there's a talk of a new game coming out, The Long Dark 2, and I'm kind of just happy where I am for now. It's kind of like that's a little bit overwhelming, and I do hope, I'm sure I will get into it. I just haven't learned anything about it yet. I've just kind of been focusing on getting back into the Long Dark. But I think I will get some more excitement for that. If I can kind of push myself a little bit, I might look into it. Again, it kind of seems a little overwhelming. I love the current game, but I'll have to check it out. I guess that's all I can say for now. I'll have to look into it and just know I have some apprehension about it. That's just kind of how I am. Okay, so where does that kind of leave me now? Well, I am super happy to be back. The game is fun and exciting again. I'm happy with my pace of going at things, just kind of taking it as it comes. I'm liking a lot of the new things I come across, like the new animal behaviors and their like patrol patterns and things. It's like totally unexpected and scaring the crap out of me and almost killing me. But it seems more lifelike like that because I don't expect there's going to be a wolf, right around a pile of bones or whatever. And it seems, it just seems more lifelike, and it's really fun. Anyway, guys, with that, I think that I've said enough for now. I'll always have more stories and anecdotes and things as we play through together, and I'll share them in my videos as we go. That's kind of all I can rack my brain for right now. Once again, this video is a huge thank you. I hope I hope this has been some way of saying thank you to you. I do appreciate you guys. Thank you for watching this, and if you've watched my other videos, thank you so much. Thank you all for your support and for welcoming me back into the community. And with that, guys, I do hope to catch you in the next episode. Take care.